The US and China are two major economic superpowers engaged in trade negotiations with Canada. And for some reason, Mark Carney decided to turn his back on Donald Trump to go and beg for a deal with China. And let's just say Mark Carney's connections to China are a little suspicious, considering at best, he's got a conflict of interest, and at worst, he's completely compromised. And same day, we have a Chinese group talking about how they will be involved with foreign interference in Canada. But obviously, our justice minister in charge of the border is going to crack down on all those issues and help rebuild the relationship with the United States. Just kidding. He was just accused not for the first, not for the second, but for the third time of being involved with political enthusiast groups from other countries. And Justin Trudeau is siding with the conservatives. It is an upside down world today. It's completely crazy, but luckily we've got foreign entrepreneurs at the end of the video to ground us and show us how to get business done inside of Canada. There is a lot to talk about in today's video, so let's get into it.
Beijing held a Victory Day parade this week commemorating the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II. In attendance, 20 visiting heads of state, including Russia's Vladimir Putin and North Korea's Kim Jong-un. Joining us right now is Kyle Bass, Heyman Capital Management founder and CIO. And Kyle, you've been talking for a long time about your concerns about China. Maybe nothing put it on better display for what this means in terms of this new world order than what we saw this weekend.
So, yes, they did have a large military parade. It was technically the largest parade and demonstration that they've ever had in China. We saw the interesting characters who were invited there. So obviously China has a plan. They wanted to make a display of strength, okay? So we can see there is a global tugging of power. Trump is doing everything he can to stand up to China, to rebuild America. Canada is doing the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very large military parade, and their militaristic advances in the South China Sea are something that the world seems to just ignore. And as we push towards further economic integration, we are kind of leaving their militaristic advances around the South China Sea as kind of something to negotiate separately. And I think we should be negotiating those things together.
I wonder how you view what's happened in this administration overall, because the hawkishness against China permeates both parties. It has for a while. But this administration has, as you mentioned, put some things on the back burner, hoping that we can get some economic issues worked out in advance.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're both trying to buy time. You know, when you look at
this video is helping set the tone why it's so scary that Carney is allegedly so connected to China.
At the NVIDIA deal with this administration, we're obviously not ready. We don't have the rare earth magnets. We don't have the rare earth processing capabilities.
Yeah, they kind of caught us when we tried to do something about that.
Yeah, and they, of course, are everyone believes they're on par with them.
Just quickly, Canada not only has the materials for the rare earth magnets and the things they're talking about there, there are companies who are actively trying to grow and produce those products that the US and Canada could be working together with.
Us in AI, they're certainly behind us on AI chip production and the capacity of these chips to run inference. So we're in a place where what just happened felt like a hostage transfer. I said that before, like where we are two superpowers engaging in hostage exchanges, and we're both trying to buy time to get us to the point where we feel like we can be kinetically involved. And like we don't want to be kinetically involved with China, but since 2017, you mentioned this bipartisan support. Xi Jinping has told you and told the world that he is going to take Taiwan, whether by force or not.
We getting articles like this, suck it up. Trump supporting Canada billionaire bets on truce. Steel magnate Barry Zekelman is pushing his country to take a more conciliatory approach to the U.S. president's trade war. I am too, baby. Barry Zekelman, CEO of Zekelman Industries, Inc., stands to gain from U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs as his steel pipe manufacturing business is largely based in the U.S. Zekelman is urging Canada to drop tariffs on the U.S. and raise them on other countries to form a North American protectionist bloc. Yes, Fortress America. Again, we can supply most of what we need. And there are signs his stance is gaining momentum. Zekelman believes Canada needs to reduce its shipments of excess steel to the U.S. and backfill its own market, and that the country should take a less confrontational approach to Trump's agenda. Honestly, China's population is shrinking, their economy is not doing that well over there, and now manufacturing is moving to India because it's safer. We're seeing they're partnering with Russia. I don't want to have any more dealing with India, but in the meantime, we could be dealing with each other. But here's a quick little update on if Carney is getting played by Trump or not.
We heard Mark Carney say that his Monday conversation with Donald Trump was good. It was lengthy, but you have to wonder, certainly Canadians are anxious about the economy. How is Mark Carney going to convince them that he's not being played by the U.S. president?
Well, it sounds cheesy, Sandy, but the proof will really be in the pudding. And there were some, I think, interesting and discernible things that the Prime Minister said today about that conversation, namely that the primary focus was on the sectoral tariffs that still remain, so steel, aluminum, and copper.
And the funny thing is about aluminum is one of the things that was one of the main talking points about aluminum was, the U.S. will never be able to fulfill their aluminum needs by just their own production. They need to get all of their aluminum from Quebec, and Canada holds all the power. But then we have this tweet. Exports of unwrought aluminum and aluminum alloys continue to drop, down 31% in July. In the context of U.S. tariffs on Canadian aluminum, this is the fourth consecutive monthly decline for this product group. Quebec produces 90% of Canada's aluminum. Quebec is rapidly becoming one of the biggest losers in the trade war with the U.S. But for some reason, Mark Carney's telling the Americans to kick rocks, and he's doubling down on China. When I get to all of the conflict of interest stories, it might make a bit of sense on why Mark Carney's doubling down on China.
Prime Minister, I'd like for you to, look at macro politics for a little bit. As you are aware, President Xi, President Kim, and President Putin met. What does this signify to you in terms of the geopolitical nature of what's going on? Has the world become more dangerous because of this resurgence of alignment? And how does that impact how you will deal with China when it comes to trade?
Yeah, I would say the following. Is the world a more dangerous place than it was during the 90s and early 2000s? Yes, it is. There were challenges then, but there are bigger challenges now.
Sounds like a good time to diversify our trade partners, start working with the other countries who are meeting with North Korea, because, the world is a less safe place.
The power balances are shifting. Alliances are shifting. The interplay of technology with state actors and very active states, foreign interference, for example, from states in attempts to interfere with our democracy, with our society.
Oh, yeah, obviously that's an important issue for you, Mark.
Are threats, and that's one of the reasons why we are redeveloping our national security policy, for example, which is something that we will see you will see in due course.
So the fact that he's talking about national security and foreign interference, I'm not joking, guys. Wait, please stick around until we get to these next stories with all of the conflict of interest and our justice minister. It's insane.
So that's the first point. The second point, and you frame it as a sort of macro-political, macroeconomic question. There are opportunities, and there will continue to be opportunities, those opportunities will grow, to have some commercial relationships with foreign powers with which we do not agree about everything. Okay? There are extreme versions of this. Russia is an extreme version of this. We are not interested in commercial relationships with Russia. We have sanctions on Russia. We've sanctioned 3,000 individuals and entities because of their illegal war in Ukraine.
But we will work with China, who's been threatening an illegal war, also partnered with Russia directly.
Our relationship with China, our relationship with India, I'm just going through the countries that were at this event: China, India, North Korea. See, North Korea, we're not really looking to develop a relationship there. We have fundamental differences with those regimes.
Why draw the line there?
We have differences with China, different approaches to a variety of things. But they are our second largest trading partner. And there are areas where we can cooperate. And we will look to potentially expand those areas for cooperation that are in ways that are consistent with our values and are in the interests of Canadians. I'll give you an example.
Yeah, let's expand our dealings with China because that is in the interest of Canadians. Sure.
You look at the issues around canola at present and our broader agricultural exports, pea protein, other aspects, and fisheries. We're going to work hard to get that right. We're coordinating with the provinces.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a second because obviously Mark Carney thinks it's important that now we increase our relationship with China. So keep in mind, during the election cycle, one of the things that Mark Carney was accused of was having too much connection with China, having a conflict of interest with China. So when asked about it directly, yet again, another lie that Mark Carney said during the election, he keeps getting caught, lie after lie after lie. And here's what he had to say.
Mr. Carney?
Well, we're in a security section. I think we didn't have a chance to talk about anything internationally. I think the biggest security threat to Canada is China.
The biggest security threat to Canada is China. And we know that's exactly how he actually feels. Well, let's bring up this little article, shall we? Have you liked the video yet? We're trying to get these videos out in front of more people. We are trying to grow the channel. If you like what we talk about here, feel free to subscribe. All the new channel members, shout out to you. Thank you for joining. Let's get back to it. For a bit of context, Mark Carney used to be a big wig over at Brookfield. So let's get into this. Brookfield's deep ties to Chinese land loans and green deals and a real estate tycoon with CCP links raise questions as Carney takes over from Trudeau. So this is when he was under fire from his conflict of interest. Brookfield bet billions on Shanghai land as China's market peaked and secured $276 million from the Bank of China refinancing under Mark Carney as markets crashed. Brookfield maintains over $3 billion in politically sensitive investments with Chinese state-linked real estate energy companies, along with substantial offshore banking presence. One of its major real estate ventures, a $750 million entry into high-end Shanghai commercial property in 2013, involved a Hong Kong tycoon affiliated with the Chinese People Political Consultative Conference, CPPCC. That's very important. That's going to play in a second when we talk about this other group, which the CIA labels as a united front entity of Beijing, okay? The CPPCC. The CIA has labeled them an entity of Beijing. It's not a conflict of interest at all when Mark Carney says he will take a part in a bid to resolve China canola dispute. Prime Minister Mark Carney on Wednesday said he and other senior officials would resolve a dispute with China over tariffs that Beijing imposed on canola. So it seems like this is a huge priority because Mark Carney, instead of meeting with Trump, he's sending lower level negotiators to try and get side deals in separate industries with the US. And we continue to see the Canadian government place orders from Chinese products with taxpayer dollars. This isn't suspicious at all. And it's not like the Chinese steel became a problem for this bridge. Let's get into this.
2 years late and $260 million over budget, the Pattullo Bridge is inching closer to completion. According to the steel industry, a big part of the delay was the material imported from China.
I think that if the decision had gone to Canadian fabricators, that right now there would be cars driving over the Pattullo Bridge.
According to the Canadian Institute of Steel Construction, the problem was with the fabrication and engineering of the raw steel. Crews in Canada required to do extra work to meet the specifications of the project, pushing costs up and the timeline back.
Oh, that's good. I'm so glad that we sent tens of millions of dollars over to China to use their steel to build this giant bridge that it messed up the project. Why did we work with China, you ask? Great question, especially when we now see that the BC Ferries deal, a $1 billion deal with China that everyone has a problem with, is just being ignored by the federal government. The federal government is ignoring the controversy with China. Very strange.
The federal transport minister left BC Ferries unscathed after a summit that brought together government officials as well as industry leaders and suppliers. This comes after BC Ferries was criticized for awarding its latest ferry contract to China. Our Penny Daflos is here now. Penny, does it look like Chrystia Freeland's willing to let the controversy just subside?
That seems to be the message, Mi-Jung. BC Ferries has been clear. The contract to buy the next 4 vessels is a done deal. So it appears that Freeland is now looking to future ferries as the tit-for-tat trade conflict with China continues.
So extra funny that the federal government is choosing this is a deal that we need to hold up our end of the bargain on the contract with, when Canada has canceled multiple contracts worth billions from U.S. companies because we're going to look somewhere else to fulfill these public contracts now because we're in a trade war with the U.S. This makes no sense at all on how that's a win for Canada until you start to read articles like this. Keep in mind, this guy is a senator in Canada's Senate. He is making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to represent Canadians in the Canadian Senate. And in Canada's Senate, you can't lose your seat. Essentially, once you get selected, you have to either age out, retire, quit, or maybe in a rare chance, the Senate can vote to kick you out. So we have Chinese senators investigated by CSIS, aka Canada's CIA. Somebody else commented that in the comments. I stole that joke. It's very funny. Publicly named by Sam Cooper for being part of the Communist Chinese Foreign Interference Operation, have started a Canadian nonprofit that will defend Canadians accused of cooperating with the Communist Chinese. Guys, these people were caught by CSIS. They are in Canada's government. They were caught by our own investigative CIA for being foreign influence inside of Canada. The Canadian government is paying them hundreds of thousands of dollars to work as foreign agents for China. I should say all of this is alleged, and they were allegedly the foreign interference. And this is all alleged through articles and all of that stuff. I have no confirmation. We are allegedly assuming these guys connected to the exact group that the CIA said is a front for the Chinese government. Now they're running a non-for-profit, so they're foreigners in Canada saying we will protect foreigners who are accused of foreign interference. Holy smokes. Luckily, they did put out a one-pager for us to read just so we can see what their statements are, what they're all about. Oh, look, the entire page is in Chinese. That's easy for me to read. Keep in mind, like I said, these are allegations. Canadian senator promised to support members of CCP's United Front. The Bureau in exclusive investigation finds intelligence sources and documents implicate 2 Canadian cabinet ministers in Chinese election interference networks. But don't worry, Canada's safety minister, who has a name that I can't even say, is here to protect Canada and our borders, even though we have letters reveal that the public safety minister's support of suspected political enthusiast group are a little suspicious that this guy was writing letters on behalf of members of the political enthusiast group saying, no, he's so good, he needs to come to Canada. He's got a Canadian wife. Canadian wife, absolutely. Well, that was just one of the claims. Here was another article at a different time about Canada's safety minister. This guy is in charge of gun control. He's in charge of borders. He's in charge of so many major parts of Canada's security, and he had to recuse himself from files on 2 separate political enthusiast groups. The cabinet minister leading Prime Minister Mark Carney's border security push said Tuesday he is recusing himself from files related to a Sri Lankan political enthusiast group and its Canadian Front organization. These are 2 stories that I've covered in 2 separate videos that he had already been accused of multiple times. Well, this story just broke today. The same public safety minister's phone number was in a document seized during a 2006 enthusiast finance probe. This is the 3rd time this guy in charge of Canada's border has been connected to these groups. Take a second and realize he's connected to active political enthusiast groups. I cannot believe that he is in charge of this. How has this become fine in Canada? How is this accepted? The fact that he still has a job and yet again is getting paid by the Canadian taxpayer, no wonder America does not take Canada seriously. And it's insane to me that for some reason, liberal boomers who are elbows up when they see China taking over, complete foreign interference, they go, me no. And then you go, okay, well, the public safety minister has been accused 3 times of being in connection with these groups. I don't care. As long as it's not American, then that means it's good. Okay, so everyone else in the world, this is why elbows up is so stupid. You will allow anyone else in the world to come in and take over Canada, control these things. We're not even getting into the Khalistanis today, without any issue, without any problem. But the minute that America says, why don't you become a 51st state? We can build an amazing economic partnership. Canada's beautiful. We think it's a threat to Canada's sovereignty. I think that might be a threat to Canada's sovereignty on that one. And with all of that, things have gotten crazy enough that Justin Trudeau is somehow siding with the Conservatives. This is a tweet from Justin Trudeau. He says the temporary foreign workers program lowers Canadian wages and exploits vulnerable people. It needs to be fixed. Oh, what the? This is actually from 2014. So the Liberal government has known for 11 years. Justin Trudeau wrote an entire essentially dissertation or article, whatever you want to say, on how the temporary foreign workers undercuts wages in Canada. It allows increases in corporate profits. It literally helps no one outside of the major corporations. You wonder why the Conservatives spent so many election cycles refusing to debate immigration, buying into narratives that it would be divisive, and Canada had an immigration consensus. Now that it's clear that that's not the case, they're stuck debating it in a moment where their opinion matters least. Exactly. They should have been more serious about immigration for a long time. This isn't new. If you're watching this and you're a Canadian Conservative, yes, guys, we changed the narrative in Canada. Us being vocal about immigration are the only reason Conservatives changed that. And obviously, when you have a breakdown in Canada's national security, we have continued videos like this. Southern Alberta residents face a loss of border road used for generations. We're not going to play this clip here, but in the clip, basically, there's essentially been an unrestricted, uncovered border road in Alberta that they're now going, hey, Canada, we don't trust you anymore, so you're not allowed to use that road. Talk about a breakdown in connection, but don't worry, we know how to do business in Canada. We brought in a ton of temporary foreign workers who are working in Service Ontario. And let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 Indian employees. So that's very economically productive. What we do is we bring in foreign people from other countries. They take the government jobs, aka unproductive roles, and then the taxpayers pay them. That is what we call 100% profit. And by the way, they're sending a lot of that money back home as the remittances continue to grow back to India, which means the Canadian government is directly funding India's success. And honestly, I don't know why they need us to fund them when they've got this level of entrepreneurship right here. We've got OPP are searching for 2 suspects in alcohol theft at a store in Wellington County. Doesn't make sense to me to call it that, because to me, it's just inventory gathering by these foreign entrepreneurs. And I don't see why they wouldn't do this, because it's literally infinite free money. It's actually very smart, very cool, because all you do is you just take something that doesn't belong to you, you sell it to somebody else, and you make money. And then we got a few more foreign entrepreneurs here. A woman was taken on express delivery, and a family member was, I don't even know why they're bringing that up. I blame the family member for getting in charge of the way of business. It's called the free market, baby. Get used to it. And this was during yet another Ontario home invasion. The woman was initially struck by one of the 2 suspects' vehicles, which caused her to exit the vehicle. The suspect at this time took her for express delivery. Couple Canadian entrepreneurs right there showing us how to do business in Canada. If you're curious, their names are Parkaran Panglia and Shakir Bhatti. And the good news is about Shakir Bhatti is he is already out on bail because Canada does not stand in the way of business. As you can see, it absolutely makes sense why Trump is mad at Canada. Canada is becoming an insane asylum where the crazies have somehow taken over. I do not know what's going on with leadership. The fact that he's going over to beg for deals with China while we've got all these foreign entrepreneurs here that we don't even need China anyways. And the fact that our safety minister is dealing with all of these allegations, it's absolutely insane. I'm telling you, Canada, we need to smarten up and build Fortress America. We have to clean up all of the trash, all of these things that are going on. There is a global shifting of power, and we should be on America's side. But if you made it this far in the video, you absolutely rock. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Trying to get these videos out in front of more people. We are trying to grow the channel. If you've joined as a member, as just a subscriber, anything, thank you so much. It's been awesome. If you do want to support the channel, you can do it through the link down below. You can also do it through YouTube. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day.